Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to Late Night with Liz. I am Liz. Tonight we're going to discuss a very interesting topic. So, you know how you always hear about the national nursing shortage, and I can't even concentrate because right now I'm just thinking about how awkward that introduction was. So let's just pretend the last 10 seconds didn't happen and we'll move on. But you know how everyone's always saying, "Oh my gosh, there's a nursing shortage and blah 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 blah." Well, Indiana, my friends, has come up with a solution to solve this. And tonight we're going to discuss if we like it or if we dislike it. I have initial reactions of grumpiness because I'm always skeptical whenever things are introduced this way, but we will dive through it together. We're going to read through the news article related to Indiana basically pulling back a lot of clinical hours and loosening up all sorts of nursing school regulations. And we're going to see how we all feel about it here. We'll eventually take a vote and we'll see how things are going. All right. Thank you, everyone who is here live. If you are here on the replay, there will probably be timestamps because I do like to ramble and it's just one of my features. We're going to get used to it. And you guys are having a delightful chat right now. Before I even got here, I was only 3 minutes late today, which has to be some kind of a record. Now you get to watch my new intro that I just made and the reason why I'm late. Ready, set, go. All right, wasn't that great? Okay. So let us see who is hanging out in the chat. Jeremy Castillo, hello, welcome. I see you chatting in there. Thank you for being a channel member. You're the bomb. And we have, oh my goodness, we have all sorts of people. Mama Nurse is here. Hello, hello. Mel, her Destiny. I almost told you that StreamYard was here. StreamYard is the streaming platform. So we have that. Okay, so let's dive straight into this, shall we? Shall we? All right, here we are. So here, once again, I always, it's these weird websites that usually host these conversations. So we're just going to embrace the really rather random website. Okay. It looks a little sketchy, but I did verify all of the information with the actual, the House of Representatives or whatever Indiana has. So Indianapolis, Indiana lawmakers are trying to help ease the severe nursing shortage in our state. See, what they're missing here, though, is all these states are really trying to improve the nursing shortage, but it's not that there's like not enough nurses. It's that you don't want to pay us. So I think they're all missing that point. So they're really just kind of missing the main work around here. And I also have solutions for us, friends. I have solutions for how we could fix this, and we'll see if, if we can get everyone on board. But no, they've chosen to, rather than just paying people more, they're like, I know, we can pass a new law. Watch me. A bill is now headed for, so this is slightly old also because this has now passed. Spoiler alert, it has passed. It is a law in Indiana. So the bill is headed for a full vote in the House where it passed, and it aims to boost the number of nurses entering the workforce by paying them more. Just kidding. By creating more flexibility in how they're trained. Because you know what's a really good idea, right? You know what's a really good idea is to take the people who are going to be taking care of anyone. And rather than realizing, hey, we don't have enough of these people because they don't want to stay at their jobs, like retention is a problem. But you know what's really good idea here? We could just make their training easier and cut back all the regulations that we had. And that is how we are going to get more nurses. Make the programs a little bit more lenient, let more people in. Genius. I just want to know who was like, hold my beer. Listen to this idea. And everyone's like, you got it. You've got it. Is it going to cost us more money? And they're like, actually, no, it's going to make us more money. Unanimously passed immediately. Yay, government. As the battle against COVID continues, healthcare heroes on the front lines are badly in need of a fresh platoon. A whole platoon. Indiana's nursing shortage, exacerbated by the pandemic, is now in crisis. So once again, as we have seen many times in the last couple of years, crisis makes us do all sorts of interesting things. You can bypass all sorts of rules. Like crisis, you can wear the same mask for like 12 million weeks. Crisis, you can now go to work with active COVID infection. Crisis, let's just cut back nursing school. We were hiring did you attend a few days? Perfect. Let's go. We have a workforce of about 9,000 nurses at all of our sites of care across the state. We are looking for 1,500 more to join our platoon, said IU Health Executive Vice President and Chief Nursing Executive Jason Gilbert. One problem though, schools training the next batch of workers are about 1,350 graduates short each year of what is needed. That's a lot short. So they probably sat around and they were like, you know what? So rather than looking at the retention problem, right? Because we're cranking out all of these nurses, rather than looking at the back end of it and being like, what's happening to all these nurses when they enter the workforce? Do they stay where they are? How could we maybe entice more nurses from the whole country to move to Indiana? I bet it rhymes with honey and starts with an M. And they were like, no, 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 no. We don't. The hospitals probably came and they were like, excuse me, we pay you a lot of money to be in our pocket. We are not paying them more money. We need to figure out another solution. So they went back to the drawing table and they were like, idea. Um, Schools like Ivy Tech Community College say they need relaxed state regulations to get more nursing students to the pipeline into the job. I feel like maybe they came in that with a joke. Like they were all sitting around the table and they were like, okay, the hospitals say they won't pay more money, but what? And the school's like, oh, well, why don't you just make us require less? And someone was like, idea. You're onto something, friend. And I think they didn't think it was a joke. I'm really hoping that Ivy Tech Community College thought it was a joke that they were suggesting, and then everyone went, wait a minute. And they held on to it. Every year in the state, there are hundreds of qualified applicants who want to be nurses who are turned away because of these limitations. And I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form here that nursing school is not competitive, right? Because nursing school is ridiculously competitive. And we really do have more people that are interested than there are spots in most nursing schools. Like that is an actual genuine thing here. So some of this is just me being a little bit snarky, and we embrace this because this is late night with Liz. Okay. Night shift is more fun. And, but I don't think the solution to that is to make it easier. This is kind of the thing we're running into with like NP school, where they're like, oh, we need more primary care providers. You know what? Let's just let more people into NP school rather than like making more schools and more programs that were like quality. They just like lowered they were like, you know what? Do you have a pulse? Welcome. You can just come on in. Not all NP schools, not all, but many. And so I feel like we're doing the same thing with nursing school now. We're like, rather than funding new schools, okay, and making, paying teachers of these schools decently and making, just making school, having more schools, we'll just lower the entry requirements. Okay. We'll lower kind of what you need to do in the program to make sure we can fit more people in. That's an idea. This year, we had 1,700 spots in, oh dear, I've activated Siri. Please go away. Okay, thank you. This year, we have 1,700 spots for nurses in our program. We had to turn away over 300 students who wanted to get into the program, who were qualified to get into the program, which they are very competitive. I do feel you, but we had no space, said Ivy Tech Vice President of Public Affairs, Mary Jane Michalak. We don't have enough faculty to teach all the sections, and we don't have enough spots in the clinical setting to place students. So this is where we're coming around to the actual problem here. Okay. So we don't have enough teachers. So that's why we can't open. Now I'm understanding why we can't open more schools. Okay. We don't have enough teachers, probably because we don't pay teachers like anything. I looked into being like a clinical instructor and just being like, when I was trying to figure out I'm still trying to figure out my life, but earlier I was like looking into, just like teaching, and they don't pay you anything, which is really confusing because like, when you go to clinical, you're paying for nurses who aren't getting paid to teach you. So I don't know where that money goes, that all those semesters that are in clinical, especially in NP school where you're like teaching yourself, a little bit confusing about where all of my tuition is going, but it's totally fine. Evie says, hopefully the tuition is less. You know, it won't be. You know that it won't be. JC Girl says the problem starts with nursing schools for profit, taking too many students and not enough instructors. Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Exactly. And Brianna says, I have mixed feelings about this. I didn't learn much in clinical, to be honest, and I learned after I got my license. Exactly. Yes. I do have mixed feelings as well, but I do think you should be in the hospital. I think you have enough to learn. I think the people who we've seen do the best, in my experience, are people who come out of like ADN programs who spent even more time in clinical and like less in the classroom. So now that we're going backwards, It's just really impressive. It's ridiculous in my opinion. I agree. Experience teaches so much. Indiana disagrees. So, the more you know. The more you know. Okay, let's go back to, I should take this comment off. Here we go. Okay. So we have a shortage because we don't pay teachers enough. So they don't want to be teachers. They don't want to come and work there. And they also, teachers like really don't get benefits at nursing school until, because they don't want to bring you on for like tenure. So they just kind of have you do these like adjunct positions where you don't really get any much money and you don't get any of the benefits and you don't get any like health insurance and all the other goodies that you get when you're a teacher. So you get paid so little to be a nursing school teacher, but I don't know why people don't want to do that, big question. All the people are sitting around, they're like, I don't know why people don't want to do this more. This doesn't make any sense. And I also don't know why these hospitals don't want to take these nursing students, even though we literally are just overloading the already overloaded nurses, and we aren't paying them anymore. I don't know why all these people don't want to do everything for free. I mean, we can't all be paid ridiculous amounts of money to take most of the year off like we have in our jobs. But anyway, I am feeling sassy tonight. Anyway, so Indiana, rather than paying teachers more and paying hospitals, maybe so they could. So here's my idea. Spoiler alert. The problem is there's not enough clinical spots in the hospital to have these students, and there's not enough teachers in the nursing program. So wouldn't you think, okay, we're going to pay teachers more. We can then open maybe even more schools because now we have more people that want to be teachers. I don't know what the school is doing with all the money because they're certainly not paying the teachers. And some of the times, like when you have a clinical class, like you're not even taking a course. So like, where is that money going? I have suspicions. But also, why don't you take some of the money from the fact that, oh, you're paying a full semester's tuition, but you're literally not having any instruction because it's your nurses are teaching you all of this at the hospital? Why not give some of the money to the hospital so the hospital on the days that they're precepting new nurses can have an extra few nurses to help like everyone can then teach because they have a less as patients because they have a student. And if you have a student, then you have less patients and you can afford that because the school is handing some of the money back to the hospital and saying, thank you, let me pay you to train these people. But what do I know? No, they didn't agree. They were like, actually, I have a better idea. Here's how we can make more money with less effort. House Bill 1003 aims to fix this by removing current barriers and adding flexibility to who schools can hire and how students get trained. So they're like, so if we lower our standards, this is good. Representative Ethan Manning, our District 23, sponsored a bill which passed unanimously out of a committee on Wednesday, and it headed to the House for a vote and it passed. We're allowing nursing schools programs to grow at faster rates. Because normally schools are capped, right? A lot of nursing schools are capped at, hey, you cannot just explode your nursing school program and all of a sudden let in like a ton more people because we know that there are limitations to like, that kind of growth is not sustainable. So normally they were capped by, it looks like 25% in a single year. You can't all of a sudden have an increase in admissions because we don't know that you're going to be able to keep up with your lab requirements, your clinical like site securement. We don't know that you're going to be able to do this. So they capped it so that schools couldn't all of a sudden just be like, oh yeah, we're just, instead of having a nursing school class of, I don't know, 50, 100, let's do it. Well, that used to be the case because now we're letting them grow at any rate they deem appropriate to try and get more nurses in the work line pipeline. Any rate, just go for it. You want a bigger nursing school program? By all means, go for it. What that really means in actuality is they're not going to probably hire more teachers, right? Or they're not going to ramp up the education. They're just going to let more people in because they're getting the money in the end of the day, the tuition. So what we're really doing is really trying to address some of the bottlenecks in our system. Sir, that's not how you address it. You address it by giving more money. You don't I have so many thoughts. The schools would I forgot my reporter voice. The bill would let schools like Ivy Tech increase enrollment, hire more part-time faculty, part-time, so then you don't have to pay them the actual benefits and you don't have to give them like perks that you get when working at a college. Current state regulations limit the number of adjunct faculty. So adjunct faculty are the people who don't get any of the benefits. Usually they say, hey, you can't just like cheap out and hire only people to like teach one or two classes, like a certain percentage of the like teachers at your school, you have to make them full time. So you have to pay them more. You have to put them on maybe the track to tenure, and you have to like give them health insurance and, whatever perks you get from being at a college. Usually, like most of the time, I've seen like your kids get tuition for free or something, or it's discounted, or you get a few classes or whatever. So normally they say, hey, you can't just cheap out and like pay these poor teachers nothing and then have like no faculty that's actually full time. And they said, ditch that and let students do more simulations for clinical. So it took me a minute to get to our main point, but this is part of the point. Instead of paying hospitals to maybe put a few more nurses on the floor when your school is at the location, which they could absolutely afford, tuition is bonkers expensive. No. No. We will just let you substitute most of your clinicals for simulation lab because we already have one of those. We already own one of those. So let's just do that. Simulation is just like hands-on, but it's using high-tech equipment. Those creepy robots. Michaela said, nothing replaces hands-on experience in the hospital, but these simulations that we use are very high-tech, very advanced, and they give students real life really good hands-on experience prior to getting in the hospital setting. So I have had SimLab. I haven't had SimLab in, 12 years, but I do not think, in my opinion, let's do I can't do a poll from here. Never mind. I was going to do a poll, but I don't have it pulled up and I'm not going to do it. Let me know in the chat. With an emoji, because emojis are more fun. Do you think happy face for like, yeah, this is totally fine? Angry face for like, this is some BS. I think simulation lab is great for some things. I think it can really help you think through scenarios before you're actually in them or practice skills, but it has in no way does it prepare you to be a nurse. And I'm just imagining a bunch of brand new nurses walking into the hospital, having had very little in-person clinical time and not even knowing like how to work with a patient, right? I think it's angry. Yes, boho. This is my feeling. That was the emoji I was thinking of. I was like, where's the red angry one that's just like, oh, Lydia Shepard, Aaron Hoffbauer. Yeah. Jan, these simulations are an absolute joke. Oh, look at all of your feelings. I love all of your feelings. Betsy's not had. Mama Nurse is being more diplomatic and saying she's not a fan of simulation. JC Girl hated SimLab. I'm trying to see if there's anyone. Oh, Chad. It makes Chad ill. Betsy, thumbs down. Yeah, I don't think anyone's happy. Tammy's not happy. You can't you can't hurt a sim dummy with a needle. Exactly. So I just want to know like how you're going to walk in and be like, like, I don't even like the first time you go to touch your patient and like you nudge their head and it doesn't fall off. Like our sim lab person's like head always fell off and we were like, oh no, like accidental decapitation. How's that going to work? Can't properly assess on a sim patient. Exactly. Because it's just like a little bit different than plastic, but what do I know? But they don't see that any of this as a problem. Rhonda, hi Rhonda. Quality of sim needs faculty to guide students. Hard to do with adjunct faculty. This is an excellent point. Because if you don't have someone who's like there all the time, and if you want to elaborate on that, Rhonda, feel free to. I probably should have just had you do this live with me. Rhonda's a nursing educator and what we all need in the world. She's like a good one. It took me a long time to come around to that fact that any nursing educators could be good, but she is a good egg. And even then with a quality sim, I would be pretty skeptical that that would be able to substitute for actual experiences. So let's see. This is also a very good point. Can't see skin color, palpate, or auscultate on a sim man. And you're seeing very few skin tones, right? So a lot of the learning is like learning, what does cyanosis look on someone with more melanated skin? What does this look like if you have, what does this look like on different bodies? And you're not gonna be able to do that because pretty much all of your sim lab people, they're not very good at changing colors, right? They're just not. Um, the doll in the sim lab had more employer seniority than the faculty, always new instructors. Yeah, because you're not going to stay at a job where you're not paid well and you're just adjunct and they won't bring you on as full time. So normally those laws were there to say, hey, 20 like more only a certain percentage of your staff can actually be these adjunct faculty. You have to retain people. But once again, they're just no one's grasping that if you pay people more, they'll likely stay. If you pay nurses more, maybe they'll stay. If you pay teachers more, maybe they'll say, but what do you know? What do we know? What do we know? Okay. Deep breaths. I don't see Nurse Scott here. I need Nurse Scott here to be like, Liz, calm down. Calm down, Liz. It's going to be fine. I hope so. It's going to be fine. Well, I'll have to tell myself we have to go into our mantra of like, we can do hard things. We can do hard things. It's going to be fine. For Ivy Tech, it's two-pronged approach. Flexibility and funding. So the school got a bunch of money that boosted the school received $8.75 million grant from IU Health to boost admission by 600 nursing students a year. A year. A year. How big were your nursing school classes? So if you're not in the nursing school life, which I know some of you aren't, my nursing school class had 32 people in it, and it was a lot smaller by the time we graduated. So I'm trying to wrap my head around 600 nursing schools a year. That can't be just for Ivy Tech. Maybe that's for the whole state. No, the school received $8.75 million for 600 nursing students a year. Okay, so the school is going to go. That's a lot of growth. So the school got money to let more people in so they can make more money. Okay, so that's good. The grant really endeavors to help Ivy Tech expand their enrollment. Expand their enrollment is one word for increasing your class size to 600 through faculty recruitment, through more equipment. Okay, so where are you going to put them? I feel like you need to build a new building and hire every teacher in that whole state. This is an investment in the future of our nursing workforce. No, it's really not. This seems like you're just kind of lowering all the standards and shoving people through. And that's not making nursing better. This helps enhance and expand the profession. No, I disagree. I disagree. Okay. All right. So that's it for that article. That I didn't read all the way through that one. Full disclosure, and I did not realize they were planning on adding it that many. Jeremy said, damn, that's a lot of students. Like, I can't wrap my brain around it. At first I thought it said 60, but it said 630. Okay, yes. So most people were like 30. Nicole Metzger says hers started with 192. Holy moly. And the 2004 grad cohort is 32 candidates less 192. I mean, no wonder you have problems placing people in like clinicals. That's insane. Mia Doer said my school had 250 nursing students. Is that like per group? Like per class? Or is that like total? Because that's a lot. As long as they pass the NCLEX, isn't that the freaking truth? I feel like nursing school really is just aimed like these schools are just thinking, can I get them to pass the NCLEX so my rates look okay? And then they just push it through. Yikes. We started out with 128 for the last semester. We have 50. Yikers Island on that one. Okay, so that's our current situation. Now I want to hop over to the actual bill because I was like, well, that's alarming, but maybe they exaggerated, right? Maybe this is not like actual real life, and the article was lying. It wasn't lying. Spoiler alert, but I'll keep your hopes up for just a moment. So let's see here. So I did find out here, I'll show you that in case you need proof that this actually passed, like I did when my second opinion was helping me research this. I was like, there's no way. I was like, are you sure this passed? I'm like, I don't feel like this would pass. And she was like, no, it really did. And lo and behold, Indiana House Bill 1003, summary, nursing school programs and licensing matters. Yes, but also keeping patients alive in the future does too. Establishes certain requirements for the temporary licensure of retired or inactive medical personnel, retired or inactive medical, blah, 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 blah. It allows a, oh, this is a good summary of it. Can you tell I do a lot of research? I did do some research before this, but I didn't read this. Provides this is what changed. Allows an eligible associate degree or bachelor's degree registered nurse program to increase enrollment at any rate deemed appropriate by the program, like adding 600 people. No big deal. Not a problem. And two, a nursing program that is not an eligible program but meets specified requirements to increase enrollment, but not by more than 100%. So, and what they mean, I'll show you in the bill. It's outlined that if you have a NCLEX pass rate of less than 80%, you are not to expand enrollment by more than 100%. And if you have an NCLEX pass rate of more than 80%, you can expand as much as you would like. Whatever you deem appropriate by your program, which to, I would assume, deans of nursing school or heads of nursing schools, they were just like seeing like money fall out of the sky at this point. Allows a nursing program to substitute a certain number of simulation hours for clinical hours in certain circumstances. And that's, again, it goes back to if your NCLEX pass rates are 80% or higher, you have a lot more flexibility. If they're 80% or less, it's a little bit more regulated. And it establishes requirements for clinical preceptors. We'll go over all of this when we read it. Provides a majority of the faculty is not, the majority of your faculty is not required to be full-time employees of a state educational institution that operates a nursing program. That predominantly issues associate's degrees. So what they're basically saying is if you have an ADN program, the majority of your people can just be like teaching one class. You don't have to have a core faculty, which to me just seems insane, because then what cohesion do you have with your courses? But what do I know? I'm not a nursing educator. Hi, Kim. Let's say, and damn, with how Indiana is trying to do things, this is tricks to Jackson. I'm starting to feel like I'm over prepping by trying my HISA in West Virginia. I'm prepping before enrollment. Yeah. 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 So if they're, Lydia Shepard says, so if their rates drop due to this, how do they go back to the number of acceptances they had before? Do they have to go back to the acceptances they had before? No, they just have to go to 50% they can only grow. They can grow by 100%, but they only can double their numbers. They can't more than double their numbers if their NCLEX rates start to drop. So that's good. Things are good. All right, let's take a look real quick at we have some questions. Let me answer some questions and then we'll go look at the actual document. Alex Beldinger said, as someone who had no clinical first year of nursing school due to COVID, clinicals are very needed for nursing school. I agree. I don't really know how that played out. One day I would love to have, if any of you are new nurses, we could all get together and just talk about what that was like. And obviously you would mostly talk about it because I didn't go to school during COVID, and how that played out with having mostly clinical in simulation, because maybe it's actually great and maybe I'm just cynical. But I feel like that would be really, really rough. And if you guys did go to school during the pandemic and you had mostly sim labs and then you popped out and you're entering nursing right now, first, I need you to know it's not always like this. Things are a little bit of a hot mess right now, but you're feisty and you're going to fix it, because this new group of nurses like are taking no BS and I am here for it. But also, it does get better. And I'm really sorry. And you've done the incredibly hard thing of joining the nursing workforce in the middle of a pandemic where everyone kind of hates everything. So I just hope you know how remarkable you are. Really, all of you are remarkable, because we're just getting through day by day. And this place is a hot mess. Okay. This place being the world at the moment. So everyone, you are doing a good job. I hope you pat yourself on the back for that, and go eat a piece of chocolate. JC girl, I'm confused. So many people, including instructors, have said nursing school is about passing the NCLEX and you will learn on your first year of the job. Is this true? So it is true that nursing school is about passing the NCLEX. However, you still learn things even if you're just absorbing it in the environment of clinical, right? You're going to learn how hospitals work. You're going to learn how to talk to patients. You're going to learn how to do basic IV things. Even if you're not being overly hands-on because the nurses don't have time to train you, you are seeing it. You're seeing how report is given in a real life situation. You're seeing like how things go, right? For a lot of hours usually. And Now that's not happening. So it's like walking into a classroom having only ever taught like virtual students, and then all of a sudden you need to actually wrangle 36-year-olds. I imagine that that is sort of comparable and awful. Okay. My friend is a, Sam Oles said, my friend is a teacher in Indiana. Speaking of teachers, and she said they're desperate for teachers too. They can't even find non educated people to teach. I bet, because you know why? What is this? What does this come back to, friends? What does this come back to? We don't pay people enough. We pay people absurd amounts of money to do different jobs, but not these ones. So, and nurses get paid better than teachers. So I can't. Emily Carlotta said, I did my BLS online and then used a mannequin for checkoff. I had no idea what I was doing because I had only videos to teach me. I decided to take an in-person class to actually feel skilled. Yeah. I like doing BLS online now, but I've only liked doing BLS online now that I have done CPR 1,000 times. So yes, there's no replacement for the real thing. Megan Conley said, I went to Ivy Tech. Megan has the scoop. I went to Ivy Tech. This is the school we were talking about. And I work at IU Health Bloomington. When COVID happened, clinicals went online. I felt unprepared once on the floor. Also, take a look at how much IU Health board members cost. Okay. Second opinion, will you look that up and see if we can find how much IU Health board members get paid? That would be a delight. Thank you, Megan. We will look into this. I love a new rabbit hole. A lot of people's clinicals went online during COVID, but I feel like I wish that didn't turn into like, you know what we could keep doing? This. No, that was during a pandemic, friends, and Ivy Tech, that wasn't supposed to keep happening. Okay. Aaron said, so there was a big push for nurses to have a 4-year degree so they would provide better care. And then they compromised the educational requirements for entry. Makes a lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense if you're only thinking with money signs in your eyeballs. If you're thinking with like your brain, it's not going to make as much sense. But these people are thinking with their wallet only their wallet, not their brain. Trisha Jackson said, better part is it's always those who have no idea what the job or schooling entails are the ones making the laws around them. Yes, about literally everything. Literally everything. This is how I feel. I'm like, why do insurance companies and government like law people, legislators, that's the name, make the rules? That's why I quit primary care, because I was like, I can't do the job that I trained to do for a really long time because legislators and insurance people tell me how to do my job. And they don't know what they're doing. And I can't do anything. So I agree. Morrigan Le Fay. I think we might have gotten closer. Indiana needs more clinical placements that aren't controlled by the major 4-year colleges in the area, like IU Health. ASN programs are majorly limited by it. I totally hear you. A lot of schools are majorly limited by their clinical placements, which is why I, the keeper of all the best ideas in the world, have solved this problem for them. And it's to pay the nursing schools, since you're charging students tuition anyway. And what are you doing with it? Because you're not teaching them. The nurses are teaching them. So why don't you just give the hospital a couple extra nurses so that their nurses aren't super stressed, and wham, bam, everyone wins. And there we go. Also, maybe we could put in some legislation that like, or I guess you wouldn't even have to put in any legislation to say like, because this happens in our area too, or where I lived, was the big hospital systems would say only the nursing students of my school can get trained here, which cuts out, and they were like university associated schools and then university associated hospitals, which then if you're a small community hospital or college, how are you going to compete? You can't find clinical sites and it becomes a mess. So I would love to see the solution there being, hey, we're going to help pay you to make up this difference, because we know that or like start some kind of like, rather than spending the 6 billion or however much million they spent, just help the school pay for clinical sites, right? Instead of lowering the requirements. I don't understand. Karima13 said, many of the new grads I precept has said they have very little, no clinical experience during the pandemic. Yeah, I would bet. So I guess this is going to be trial by, we're going to see how it goes. We're going to see how it goes. Raf said, more student protections against toxic teachers that threatens students during the last months of school. Amen. I have so many feelings about I had horrible experiences with my nursing school teachers. I felt like it was all the like angry people who just hated everything that became my nursing school teachers. I know that's not everyone. Other people have very different experiences. And then you kind of see how much they're paid if you're an adjunct, right? Because it's only the people who've been there like for literally ever. And sometimes you're like worried about them, right? You're like 90. And I'm like worried that you're teaching me CPR so that I can do it on you. Those were the people that got tenure, and now we see why, right? Like maybe I would be grumpy too and maybe mean and take it out on students, hopefully not take it out on students, but I would be mean and grumpy too if you refused to give me a full-time position, and you just wanted to treat me like crap. Okay, let's take a look at the actual bill, shall we? Share the screen. Is this it? I think this is it. I have two of the same tabs. They look exactly the same. Okay, yes, here it is. House Enrolled Act number 1003. I guess this is my legislation voice. Who knew we had different ones? This first part is just all the same old, same old. They haven't changed anything. It had a lot of random regulations about nursing. They don't matter to us because this is not new. We will just keep scrolling. Blah, 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 blah. Indiana's website, very confusing. Very confusing for trying to find laws. Don't like it. Dislike. But we succeeded. Okay. Here we go. Section 7 is added to the Indiana Code as a new section to read as follows, effective upon passage, which it did pass. Section 20.1, as used in this section, eligible associate or bachelor degree registered nursing programs means an associate or bachelor's degree registered nursing program that is accredited by the board. So this is basically saying these are who the rules apply to. Has an annual rate of successful completion of the National Council licensure examination NCLEX score of at least 80%. So the rules apply to the people who have 80% or more. As used in this section, nursing program means an LPN program, an associate degree program, a diploma nurse program, a baccalaureate degree nursing program, and an eligible associate's degree or bachelor degree registered nursing program that has been operating for at least 5 years may increase enrollment in the program at any rate the program considers. So this is saying if you have been a nursing program for 5 years and your NCLEX pass rate is more than 80%, you can just ramp that baby right on up and accept as many students as you can get to come to your school, instead of having to prove like where they capped it before. A nursing program that is operated by a post-secondary educational institution was accredited by the board after January 2020 and is operating for less than 1 year. They may increase enrollment by a rate of not more than 100%. So if you haven't been in operation that long or your NCLEX pass rates aren't like quite so good, it's fine. We're gonna have you expand slower so you can only double how many students come to your school each year. Okay. So just try to keep calm, just double it. I know your neighbor down the street is like 100 Xing timesing their enrollment, and they used to have like 60 students and now they have 800, but calm down. You'll get there. We'll just keep doubling. It'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine. Also, as used in this section, clinical experience. So now we're going to talk about our clinical experience. We now decided we're going to let everyone in. But remember, we already had the problem of the hospitals don't have enough spots. So the students aren't being able to be trained in person. So how are we going to address that? Clinical experience in quotes. Clinical experience means learning experiences provided in facilities appropriate to curriculum objectives. So they're like, well, technically we could probably teach people mostly the same stuff, right? As used in the section, clinical hours. Why is it always in quotes? Clinical hours, as if they're like fake, means refers to the number of hours a clinical experience a nursing student is required to complete. Clinical hours. Mine I had to do in real person. Did any of you get like clinical hours in quotes? Jealous. As used in this section, NCLEX refers, that's just defining things. So it has to be like we talked about, you have to have those NCLEX scores before. And then as used in this section, Simulation hours refers to the hours spent by a nursing student participating in an educational process that replicates the real world clinical scenarios in a simulation lab. I mean, as much as you can. You will never find the wildness of the real world in a sim lab. I promise. You just won't. It's not useless. I don't think sim labs are useless, but they do not replace the fascination that you will like of actual clinical. And in which a sim lab also has to be something in which a nursing student develops and practices nursing students' nursing skills. Develops and practices the nursing students' nursing skills. So in the nursing school sim lab, you have to practice nursing skills. Thank you, Indiana. A nursing program may allow the substitution of simulation hours for clinical hours in the following manner. Simulation for not more than 50% of clinical hours. If nursing program has an overall pass rate of at least 80%, so 50% of your clinical hours can now be done virtually as long as your NCLEX pass rates are fine. So you still have to go in sometimes, but only 50% of the time, which is, I feel like nursing school, the biggest issue with it is already that clinical is not well done and kind of sucks. And you don't have enough actual experience because it's actually interesting if you look at like ADN programs, but especially like diploma programs that are done more like a apprenticeship where almost all of your teaching is in the hospital, like hands on, they do the best right out of school. So I feel like we're going the wrong way, right? I think all nursing education, nursing, LPN, actually, I don't know how many, like, I'm honestly pretty out of the loop in terms of LPN, in terms of how they feel when they graduate. So if you have like a pulse on that, let me know. But NP school, nursing school, I feel like if anything, we need more clinical, not less, because it is a pretty common thing amongst everyone that everyone's like, oh, nursing school, like you don't really graduate knowing how to do anything. So you would think probably the solution to that would be like more clinical, not removing it, but it's okay. Simulation only, you can only have 25% of your simulation, your hours being clinical hours being simulation if you have a 25% pass rate on the NCLEX. So yikers. The board may adopt, and then it goes on to say more. And then it goes on to say what a clinical preceptor means is an individual who is employed by a cooperating agency. So I think this is, I don't even know like what a clinical preceptor is. That would be when you're doing like your final preceptorship capstone thing when you're like with someone for like a month. Responsible for one nursing student at a time in a clinical facility. Okay. As used in this section, cooperating agency means an institution that cooperates with a nursing program to provide clinical facilities for the clinical experience. So you have to work there. I would hope so. I don't know why they felt the need that they had to I don't know why they felt that they had to define it. Maybe so that you couldn't get a traveling nurse. Maybe that's why. I'm really hoping that they're not. The nurse you shadow needs to be a real nurse and actually work in the hospital. Okay? Please do not just follow random people, guys. Okay? What has happened that made this law need to be this way? I think it's probably that they don't want people who are like travel nurses to do it. And each clinical preceptor must be a nurse licensed under this article. They have to have a nursing license. They have to have a nursing license, and they have to have at least 18 months of experience as a nurse. So that's good. So you have to be a nurse. You have to be licensed. Solid. And then it goes on to talk about faculty. So beginning July 1st, the majority of the employees, to fix the employee, how they don't have enough nursing school teachers, majority of employees on the faculty nursing side do not have to be full-time anymore, and now they can be part-time. And I think that is pretty much the rest of that. I don't understand the rest of the words, so we won't read them. Yeah, real nurse. It said real nurse. You have to be a real nurse in order for this to work. So thoughts. Like I said, I feel that I should rule the world. And I would just take the money that you are giving to those schools in grants. And rather than telling them, hey, make your program easier and we're going to like hire less people. Okay. Just go find some random nurses out on the street. pay them like crap, so they're not going to stay, but it's fine. You don't have to make them full time. And then you can just increase your program as much as you would like, as long as your clinical skills lab, like just keep that running 24/7, crank the students through there. It's going to be totally fine. Let's get through it. Everything's fine. Why wouldn't you just pay the hospital a little bit more and pay your nursing educators more and support them a little bit? And we wouldn't have to water down our already kind of crappy education. Just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. So who knows? I'm probably crazy. Um, Jeremy Castillo said LPN here. My program was, thank you. This is very helpful. My program was a 12 months LPN program, and I had barely any clinical, so that's not good either. Okay, so we don't need to pull back. That's the moral of this story. Wasn't very confident when I started working. Sad face. I'm really sorry. That stinks. I wish you had more clinical. I wish all nursing school had more clinical. Lydia Shepard. This is why these laws should be made by someone who has experience as a nurse and a teacher, not people who have no idea what they're talking about. Hear, hear. I'm with you. I support that statement. Crystal F. I think that nursing school needs to be done away with, and hospital clinics need to hold their own schools within the building. Going back to like diploma nursing, that is literally what diploma nursing is. And the people that come out of those programs seem a lot better prepared than the ones that we have, don't they? It's interesting. This way a skill can be taught and implemented same day, and students get experience. Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to burn nursing school to the ground. I've been saying this for a very long time. And redo it. Be like, hey, maybe this worked a little while ago, but this isn't working now. I think a lot of healthcare education is not working now. I think med school really needs to reevaluate itself and say, hey, why are we spending all maybe like, let's just reevaluate. We don't have to all learn all of these things. If you already know what specialty you want to go into, maybe we can just like kind of fast track you towards that, and you'll still have all the didactic. Like, there's just a lot we could do. I think nurse practitioner school is a hot dumpster fire most of the time. PA school seems to know what's going on though. So other than PA school is very hard to get into, but PA school seems to know what's up. So they can stay. PA schools can stay, but everyone else, I feel like we just need to like burn it down and then see what we can do. See if we can improve anything here. Julia Hanlon said, something I personally don't like about my LVN program is that most of our clinicals are in nursing homes. That is problematic. Yeah. If we're lucky, we get a clinical in a hospital in the last term or semester. I could see how that could be incredibly frustrating because that does limit you to a certain population. Like, you see some different things in a long-term care facility. And even if that is kind of what they're like saying, hey, most people like might get jobs here, not everyone will. And you could experience so much more. And I wish clinicals are an issue. See, Emerson Rumsey, this is a slow moving motion car crash. It is, isn't it? I can't stop watching. Karima 13 said, I've been traveling to units where experienced staff is scarce. That's scary. There have been more travelers and new nurses than experienced staff. That's scary. Definitely not the environment for nursing students. Yeah. And that has been a problem, I feel like, for a long time in general, is that things are not good for nursing students because you're already so overwhelmed. I get a lot of nursing students saying, hey, I'm like, nurses don't seem to like me or want me to be here. And I'm like, well, I feel for you because this is the learning environment that we work in, and it sucks. We don't have a lot of healthcare really is built on like, hey, you're going to teach the next generation, but we're not going to like decrease your workload at all. And I don't know why we don't reevaluate that, right? Like nurses, we make nurses train ourselves, which is fine, but we don't reduce our workload. We make residents work 80-hour weeks when they are babies coming out of med school and they don't know anything. And we make them work in the middle of the night for 80 hours a week in a random city that they don't want to live in, but they got matched to. Problems. Problems. In P school, there's no regulation on where you can do clinical, and they just kind of like shove you through. It is, it's a mess. So, Help me change the world, friends. Help me change the world. Moral of the story. Shanika McCollum said, hospital-based diploma nurse here. Hello. Lots of clinical hours. As a senior, we had 10 patient assignments. Working was a breeze after making it through the program. This is what I have heard. So my job now is I work at Lecturio, which is a nursing education company who's quite great. And if you're in nursing school, I do recommend them as like a study thing. That's why I work for them. I was like, oh, this is legit. Can I work here? And they were like, oh yeah. And I was like, great. I'm going to just take a moment away from like clinical nursing. Well, I have a temper tantrum and figure out my life and feelings and rant on the internet about it. Anyway, and I had never really looked into diploma. All that to say, I had never really looked into diploma programs that much until I was researching them for a course I'm coming out with over there. And I was like, wait. And literally everything I found said like hospital-based diploma programs where you do a lot of your learning like at the hospital and you're mostly learning via apprenticeship and following people like on the jobs, how you kind of learn, how we all say like, oh, we learn on our first job anyway. You just learn that way in the beginning and they do really well. So go Shanika. The only big issue with those that I've seen is it can be hard to transition your license out of that. And if you ever move, a lot of places don't recognize that license like in the state. But if you live by that kind of hospital, that sounds legit. Let us see. Something. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to I keep pulling up chats that are like you guys talking to each other, which I love. But then it doesn't make sense. And then I try to get involved and invested in the conversation. I'm like, no, Liz, focus. Focus. You don't need to be in every conversation. Cassie G said the requirements were almost the same for a diploma school. I went to a diploma program. We still needed all the prereqs except statistics. Yeah, it really seems like you need most of the same classes. From what I looked at, like I said, the biggest thing could be it can be hard. Shanika said I did go back and get my BSN. So was there like a path to get that? Shanika, were you able to like go that way and get it? Oh, guys, look, I guess I shouldn't show that. That's kind of gross, but I was in the woods working on my yard and I got all sorts of bites and then I itched them. And now I have a disease. What is it? Like impetigo or not? I can't even remember what it is. It's itchy. I scratched it. I shouldn't have. It's infected. My bad. Don't be me. Farm Girl Nurse Doc said hospital-based diploma programs had their advantage, but there was a high stress liability too. So we need to take the best part of the successful programs and make a new path to nursing. Yes, let's do it. It's on this arm too. So, oh wait, no, my arms are backwards. Yeah. I was like, wait, what's happening? Why is it on that side now? RN BSN programs are available. Yes. We were talking about diploma programs, which when I was looking into it, at least it was sometimes hard to transfer from a diploma program to a RN, or like the RN BSN program bridges didn't necessarily accept all the credits. Sometimes it was a mess, but that was only in my looking it down. During my RN to BSN program, we were expected to find our own clinical placements for our senior experience. Sounds like NP school. That's insane. So in case you are unfamiliar and you're totally outside of this, basically when you're in like nursing school, like this person is saying, you had to go out and find someone to shadow for like a month. So usually in your last month of nursing school, at least at my school, and I think a lot of other ones, you do what's called like your practicum or your preceptorship, where basically you go and you follow a nurse, one nurse, you follow their schedule, you go to work with them full time, and you do clinical with them basically. And you learn a lot. This is like the time, I feel like the last month of nursing school is when you learn the most because you're following someone and learning, they know you. So you're able to like actually learn things because they're not teaching you the same thing 12 times. And they usually your school gives them to you, but now it seems like they're transitioning to where you have to find your own, which can you only imagine how difficult that would be if you are not yet integrated in the nursing system? And you're a nursing student, you're like, well, I don't know any nurses. Like, how am I supposed to find this person? And then it's a hot mess. And I'm really sorry to deal with that. Devin Wallace is agreeing with you. I'm sorry you had to do that too. And it's frustrating. And that's NP school is all that. And then you run into a whole different thing of, well, since I have to find my own preceptors, especially in NP school, you run into people where you can just pay them to be your preceptor, but they do a really crappy job because you're not really vetted. Like I've precepted a lot of nurse practitioner students and they didn't vet me at all, guys. I had to send in my resume. And then that was it. I had to send in my resume. No one called me to be like, "Hey, do you seem like halfway decent?" I could have been like, maybe they looked up my license, but I could have lied about my license. You know what I mean? Like, there was no proof required. And I had had plenty of friends who had gone to clinical and it was a total scam. Either they were doing unsafe thing like the person would just leave like leave them as a student there, or they were like, hey, just sit here, like I'm going to kind of do my thing and I'll brief you afterwards. They weren't getting experiences. And this is what we're seeing a lot with, this is just like the breakdown of nursing education, right? That we're not valuing our preceptors, we are not valuing our students, we're not helping our students find placements. Like, what? It is literally your job as the school. You have one job, and it's to provide the student with education to get them through this program. And you can't even do that. So, what am I paying you all of this money for? Okay. What are you paying for? Oh, it's such a mess. The best ever nursing show. Do you know of any other states that are going in this direction? I don't, but we can look and find out, right? Second opinion, we can go look and find out. Cassie G said, I hear many horror stories about preceptors for hire. Um, yeah, yeah. I am so opposed to paying for clinical instructors for NP school. That can be a whole different chat for a different day, future video. Cheers. But yeah, very, very yucky. Aaron said, my school does that as well. It's a 5-week immersion, but they place us. We get very little say in what specialty we get. Same. We did not really get, they said, like, make a list of your top 6. I'm like, well, there's only 7 options. So that's pretty bold. But I didn't have to find my own. So that's good. Emerson, the midwife, said, Redonda had a similar situation. It cost her her license. I wonder how our sister is doing. I think she's on her farm, probably living her best life. She's probably like, peace out, nursing. You're a mess. I do have an update video on the Redonda case. She was basically, she doesn't have to go to jail. If you're like, what on earth are you even talking about? If you look up Redonda in my search, it'll come up with YouTube video. She was a nurse that was prosecuted for basically charged with murder. She was charged with murder, or what do they call it? Manslaughter, I think. I forget what they actually settled on, but she got in a lot of trouble. Hot mess. Nurse Corky said, I always trained new nurses, and even with clinical, they were still lost. Yeah. Yeah. So this is, I feel like, just kind of going in a step in the wrong direction rather than letting that rather than actually fixing the problem, let's just slap a band-aid on it. Farm girl, nurse doc. Oh, let me know in the chat about paying preceptors come up. I have opinions. Perfect. Second opinion. Can you write down that topic? And then farm girl, nurse doc, can you send me your email and I will add you to that chain. And we can chat about it. So if you guys are new here, my brain sometimes just stops in case you see the blank stare. I'm not having a seizure. Fun fact, that can be a seizure though. If people are all of a sudden just like a little silent seizure. Not me though. That's just my ADHD being like, like, let's try to focus. Farm girl, nurse doc, perfect. I will send you my email. Here's my email in the chat. nurseliz@gmail.com. So if you just email me in all caps, because caps gets my attention pretty well, we can discuss. Best nurse ever show. Yes. Wrong direction. Band-aid where we need surgery. We need a transplant. We're like trying to still eke that organ along, and we just need to rip it out and start all over and be like, yikers. What are we talking about? Oh dear. I've lost it. It's gone now. Well, it was a fun. Oh, schedule. If you're new. So on Tuesdays, we do these late night with Liz, where mostly I ramble and talk. And it's a little bit more sassy. usually. And then on Thursdays, so these are at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So you can all schedule your lives. Okay. You can schedule your life around this so you can tell your work, hey, I can't work at these times. Okay. Um, and then on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I have a whole panel of people on, and that's just to get a whole bunch of different people from the healthcare space to weigh in on different topics. So it's not just my opinions, because although my opinions are obviously the best and always right, I do allow other people to have opinions. And that's where we get to hear those. And I'm just being kidding. Just being kidding. Just kidding. And then on Saturdays, I have like static videos. So if you do like these, here's my point where I promote myself. Just like the video. This tells the YouTube gods it improves the vital signs of the video, and it tells the YouTube gods that you're enjoying this, and then it tells other people that maybe they will want to watch it too. Because if you don't do anything to the video, then no one ever wants to. Oh, something is happening. No, YouTube will not tell the other people that the vital signs are okay and that this is a viable video. Okay, so we have to improve. You can do a compression on the like button or the subscribe button as long as it's a odd number of times. Okay. That's all we need to produce life. It's an odd number of times with the compression, or you can leave a comment or you can share it or all of those things. So thank you. I appreciate you. If you like even more random rambles, I do have, you can become a member and you get more random perks and you get a fun icon by your name. Okay. You start as code brown, you end up as a code blue when you've been here long enough. And I appreciate you. Self-promotion time is over. Courtney Moore, is it common to have to wait 18 to 24 months before nursing school? It depends on where you live. But are you talking like from a baseline? Because from a baseline, yes, because you have to do all your prereqs, which usually last about 2 years. So in some places, the line is very long and it is a huge problem. But again, the way to solve this problem is not by making schools have to do less within their program. It's by financing more schools and paying teachers more so they actually want to work there. Right now, we don't have enough educators because no one wants to work there. Fitness Babe, it is Eastern time. Eastern time. Colleen Campbell said, I love the new LPNs. They have been excluded from great opportunities for so long. We require at least one RN in the house, and that is tricky when RNs are leaving the profession. Yes. I love working. I learned so much from the LPNs that I worked with. My hospital had LPNs on the floor. That's who I learned from, LPNs and CNAs, because there were not enough nurses in the middle of the night because I worked nights and it was a hot mess. Moonfairy says, I feel like we need more clinicals and experience before we graduate. Here. Why are we evolving backwards? Money. All comes back to money. All right, my dear friends. I think, let me see. Shanika's McCollum said our school was affiliated with a school that offered an accelerated RN to BSN program for our students. Oh, that's super cool. So this was the diploma nurse program, the diploma program for your RN. And then they could kind of like shuttle you all through, which is how I really feel like we should do everything, is make it more of an apprenticeship, learning on the job. And we can go in. If your prereqs are already done and it's taking about 18 to 24 months before nursing school, then you are probably in a state with the same situation. And I'm not saying the situation doesn't exist, that nursing schools take forever to get into because there's not enough spots. Like that absolutely is a legitimate thing, but this is not the way to solve it, right? Is by pulling back on clinical hours, by not wanting to retain teachers and provide them with a good experience working. If people don't feel valued, they're not going to stay. They're not going to stay at their nursing job. So we're going to worsen the shortage. They're not going to stay at their teaching job, worsening the fact that we don't have students to train to fill the holes. Rather than just slapping band-aids on everything, let's just fix the main problem. And it's a mess. Allie Willis said, I'm not sure if anyone has an experience with a virtual clinical program, but my experience was awful. My RN to BSN program used software called Shadow Health. Does anyone else have flashbacks from Tina? Because I have flashbacks from Tina and it's a mess. If you do have to do Shadow Health, my friends, go on Reddit. Okay. Don't tell. We have to be quiet. Don't tell the rest of the internet I told you. Okay. There are subreddits that give you all the answers to Tina. Okay. Shadow Health is the thing where you go in and you like click around. It's kind of like a video game. And you ask her questions, and it's all sorts of different simulations where you have to ask different questions and get different like answers. And it's almost impossible. And you learn absolutely nothing except for the fact that you can be induced to rage at a computer and want to throw your computer across the room. Maybe I'm just having some feelings about my past experiences with Tina, but I hate that they're replacing virtual clinical with shadow health. If that is what clinical is, I fear for our world. Okay. Tara Prevey, that is super duper nice. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. You're the bomb. Angelica, hey, Liz just got here. Well, hello. We're about to go. Rhonda. Rhonda, I work with Rhonda. Rhonda, thank goodness for Rhonda. She's very used to my random scatterbrained and is a teacher. So pretend I didn't say any of that. I'm sure none of your students do that. Definitely don't go on Reddit and just find out the transcript of how to make Tina say exactly what you need Tina to say. Yeah, lol, Reddit saved my life. Literally, you would ask Tina, and like this is the problem with simulations, right? Because they're not perfect. When they're with school, like at least the teacher's controlling what's on the other side, right? So they're going to say something. But if it's only online, then your simulations are like, "Hey Tina," you'd ask her like, "Hey Tina, what do you like to do for exercise?" And she would be like, "I'm not sexually active." And you're like, "Tina, I didn't ask you about that." Please, like, whoa. Very difficult to, "Oh, do you have a runny nose?" And she's like, "I did break my foot in second grade." And I'm like, I don't know. So that's kind of that's the Tina rage where you just like can't get anything done. Anything. Uh Tara, say, "You're the bomb. Love you. Thanks so much for the shout out. Super fangirling right now." Well, thank you for the super sticker. I'm fangirling. Thank you. Shelby Lackey said, "What a scary time to be a patient. Experienced nurses leaving in droves, new nurses with no clinical, no orientation, and terrible ratios." But okay, so yes, yes. Frightening to be a patient, but I do want to tell you, I just would like to tell you that there are a whole new host of nurses that are coming up within all of this. Okay. Um, and they're like the next generation of nurses. And when I tell you that they are fierce little people, they're not like little, but they're younger than me, most of them. So I just refer to them as fierce little people. They're fierce and they are not taking the crap that most of us took for a long time. Cause I feel like in nursing for a long time, we were kind of like, oh, yeah, I guess you can like not pay me that well and kind of like treat me kind of mean and tell me I have to come in all the time. And like, I don't really know any better. This is just how it is. And, now we have the internet and now, like TikTok and all of the things got all the people feeling all the ways and they are like making changes. So do feel at least somewhat comforted that people are on your side and there are people like we're mad. You know what I mean? Like most people in healthcare did not go into this to hurt people um, or to for money. This is a really terrible field to go in if you want money, because even if you do make money, you'll be spending all of it on therapy. But for real, like people go into this because they want to help usually, or they like the science of it. You don't go into healthcare for money really because that's just stupid. If you want to go into something for money, go into like computers. Go into computers. People in my life that work in computers, they have free time, do that. But all of that to say that we're mad, okay? And I understand completely. I'm not saying like don't feel terrified as a patient. I would feel terrified probably as a patient, to be honest. But I just want to instill a little bit of hope that like Christy Marie says, us new grads are fearless. Yes, there is a whole new swath of people and we're fighting for it, right? That's why I like to make like these types of videos to kind of like just raise, because I have a lot of feelings and like anger at the system and what it's looking like. So I choose to channel my frustration into random ranting videos on the internet in hopes that one of you beautiful people will go out and change the world for me. Maybe one day I will, also. I toy with the idea of getting into government, but it's like a lot of work, like a lot of hours. And I'm not ready for that yet. So I think like maybe when my kids are older. But And you also have to have a lot of money. That was the real big thing. I was like, I'm going to run for local office. And then it was like, you need $20,000. And I was like, never mind. Will 20 work? Can someone um, increase that all the way to whatever we need, like by 100? Can I get one of those government loans? Can I be written something that says I can exponentially grow? That would be great. But like nursing schools in Indiana. But if we talk about this more, if we make it more known, and the more we talk about it, the more we talk about it to patients, the more as a patient you make noise, because really it's a lot of the times I really hope that these videos not only reach like healthcare people because it's good to talk about it, but also like people outside of healthcare, um uh so that you can be the people to really like bring up the main, like, not saying you have to do all the work, but healthcare is a business and they want to make consumers, which are patients, happy. So I feel like most of the rest of the world doesn't know that healthcare is going through an angsty, like really difficult moment in the moment. So I make these also to try to just spread awareness outside of our bubble. So that people know this is a problem and they can complain to the hospitals, right? And the healthcare systems, and they can raise a racket because we, as the employees, can complain about it all we want. But at the end of the day, we're not the ones necessarily with that is the market, right? You're the market, because America healthcare is a business. Um, Feelings. Please raise noise. Please raise hell. We're also trying to raise hell. And if we join together, I think we can change the world. I really do. So there we go. Let me see. ASMR Live. I've been getting really into ASMR. I'm going to have to go check out your channel. I listen in the background while I work, and it makes my ADHD brain like very calm. I'm leaving the legal field to pursue nursing, starting as a CNA, and I'm terrified. Legal nursing. Hello, please do that. We need so many more like legal nurse people. So you got this. You'll be okay. Just channel both of those together and you'll be the powerhouse we need. You can do all my legal things when I run for government. Perfect. Okay. I can't pay you. But I am growing tomatoes and I will give you some of those. So I hope that's an adequate salary as I talk about needing to increase nursing salaries and educator salaries. And I offer to pay people in tomatoes. Tara Preve says, I totally went through the whole online residency thing. We did online clinicals and it was an awkward sim thing. And we're now next gen nurses. Our whole class is here for y'all. We're ready. Thank you. Please save us, Tara. Please find your friends and save us. We need help. Farm Girl Nurse Doc said there are amazing opportunities for nurses with a legal background. There really, really, really are. Tara Preve says, oh my gosh, run for government one day. One day. I need to learn to work within spaces better. I don't like being told what to do. And I really don't like being told I can't do things. And I really don't like jumping through hoops. So I just need to like calm down a little bit. So I'm hoping I'm one of those people that as I get older, I kind of simmer. Currently, as I'm getting older, I'm getting madder. So, we're going to hope that that kind of goes away. And also, I need a lot more money. One of the benefits of not currently working as a nurse practitioner is it's very good for my mental health because I was very mentally anguished with not being able to provide the type of primary care that I wanted. But the con of that is I make no money. So, I mean, I have a job, but it just pays a lot less than being a nurse practitioner. So, um, you know, it is that. Nurse Liz for president. Thank you. If you are a channel member, fun fact, you have a emoji for Liz for president. Please use it all the time. All the time. Second Opinion says Liz really doesn't like being told she can't do things. She then does them out of spite. Someone told her she couldn't make a decorated cake, so she put half the cake decorating section at Amazon. Yes. So I think what she's trying to say is, if you tell me I can't, maybe I will. So maybe the actual thing is, Liz, you can't run for office. And then I'll be like, well, watch me. Watch me. Because that is my strongest motivation, even if I have no interest in it. If you're like, hey, I don't think you can do this, I'll be like, My new dedicated life mission is to actually prove you wrong. So here we go. Mackenzie Lowe said, as someone who was in nursing school for most of COVID and had clinical mostly online, I learned that I needed on the job during my residency. I feel my job prepared me. Yes, jobs do usually prepare you. But I would love it if nursing school also did. If wouldn't that be a novel concept? I feel like why is it normal for nursing school, NP school, and med school, and maybe PA school? I don't know. PA school seems to do an okay job that you graduate from it and you aren't expected to know how to do the job. Like, why did we let that become okay? Right. Someone was saying earlier that in like other countries, they do have fast tracks for like med school and stuff where if you know what you want to do, you can just kind of like go do that. And it makes so much more sense. Like, why are we doing all of it? Just, we're not doing things well. I have actually this week's video is why I did not go to med school because I was pre med. I did think I wanted to be a pediatrician. And then I was introduced to residency and I was like, oh, never mind all of that. There was just a loud crash in my house. I don't know if you heard that, but there's no crying children. So it must have been my husband. So hopefully he's fine. Let's text him. Are you okay? He says yes. He makes all of our money. I was so fortunate to have my, I also like him, but also, Brega62, I was said, I was so fortunate to have had way over 3,500 actual clinical hours and observed and approved in all skills needed to graduate from RN. It's excellent and very tough school. Oh my gosh. Yeah. If you don't mind sharing where you went, that would be very helpful because that sounds very legit. Dang. Pat Wosner is a clinical instructor in Indiana. There are reasons why no instructors. I need to email you. Please email me. Please do. Please do. Yes. I want to be one of those people that people send me their crazy stories and then I can anonymously report them, just like Nurse Erica does on TikTok. It's my dream. Like that is the type of internet that I want to be involved in. I want to be people who are like, I have a secret. I'm going to tell Liz. I love secrets. Thrilled whenever my friends were like, can I tell you something? Yes. And I'm pretty good at keeping them. I've gotten better at that over the years. When I was younger, sometimes, you just like, I was definitely one of those people to be like, oh, like I know this, but I am pretty good at like, I don't know. I guess now I've gotten very good at, before I would kind of like hint that I knew things. I'm very proud to say that at the age of 30 something, I don't even remember. Very good at keeping secrets. Send me your secrets and I will anonymously share them on the internet unless you don't want me to. Please don't send me things unless you want me to anonymously share them because then they just sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to tell everyone. But please do tell us. I would love to know. Helene Campbell said the largest hospital system in my state used to have a robust education program for new nurses. It will mostly be eliminated in the next year. Who is responsible for education, schools or hospitals? Well, I would imagine schools since we pay them a lot of money. Joe still hasn't responded to my "Are you okay?" comment. It's delivered. It's not read yet. Well, we're probably going to be wrapping up here in the next few minutes anyways, because it's 10 p.m. and grandma needs to go to bed. And we'll have to check on Joe and make sure he's alive. I think he is. I think I hear more rumbles somewhere, unless he's like on the floor kicking it to be like, Liz, hello, I need help. Yeah. Melody Nolan, hello. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for being a channel member. Hi, Liz. I'm in Wisconsin. My understanding is they tried to pass a bill allowing nurse practitioners to practice without supervising MDs. No one would ever go to medical school. We can do a whole chat about that, about nurse practitioners practicing independently. I have contrary thoughts to most of my profession, but I'd love to do a whole chat about that. I think people would still go to med school because you're not an expert when you go to NP school. I just wish med school wasn't, well, I have a video coming out on Saturday about that. It wasn't so many of the things that it is. It's like superfluous in so many ways and very needed. We very much need experts. I feel like med school does do a good job, and the physician like residency, like I think residency is awful and we need to change it, but I do think it produces experts in a field. And we need that. Nurse practitioners do not have the training to be the experts in those fields until you've had a lot of experience on the job being trained by experts. So I think people would go still to med school. My issue with nurse practitioners having full practice authority without a supervising physician is like how, our nurse practitioner schools are so crappy. So like what's preparing you for that? So we're kind of like letting people wild. So we'll talk about this at one point. You can be on the panel discussion, Melody, if you would like. Melody is going to be on our panel discussion next Tuesday night. And we're going to be talking about trauma informed care from as a healthcare provider and things that we can do as healthcare people or as patients that you can look for in a provider to offer you these types of things to make your care more like towards you. So she's going to share a positive experience that she's had with a provider who has handled things really well with her in a situation. I'm going to share a few things that I have learned from going to various different trainings on like trauma-based care to try to provide, especially when you're doing sensitive exams, like things that can make people feel more comfortable. And just something that we can all kind of take with us so that you can both learn, like I said, as a patient, you can see, hey, this can be handled in a better way and advocate for yourself and like ask for that or find a provider who will give you that. And to insert a little like, hey, things are going to be okay in here because I I recognize there's a lot of people on my internet who are very not, they're like, everything is sad. I'm like, this isn't sad. This is just angry Liz. We're in a phase of angry Liz. Maybe we'll get out of it. Maybe we won't. Feelings. We're just going to embrace the feelings. We're not going to say that they're bad. We're just going to go for it. I am Susie. She says I'm on a very different topic. Let me see. I also will take a couple questions. So guys, let's hang out for 10 more minutes. Does that sound good at 10:20? So we can go off topic now. So we'll end with a little bit of a Q&A. So if you have any questions on kind of whatever, we'll spend the last 10 minutes getting to as many as I can. And then we will wrap up. I will go to bed and some of you might go out and party and live your lives or not go to bed. In reality, I'm probably going to go crochet until my eyeballs burn. And, that's my night. I like crochet until I'm like a mess and try to figure out how to cure. I have that rash all over my neck and my arm and it's a mess. Okay. I am Susie. Let's go back and see what you were saying. Also, was it up here? Last week at the beginning of the year, they reassured us our jobs were okay. And now this, yeah, well, they're not very good at holding their word, are they? That's not the best. Also, all admits automatically were coded COVID-19 billing indicator. Is that ethical? Probably not. That sounds like a mess. Yeah, that sounds like a hot mess. I apologize. I'm on a different topic. Sorry, everyone. No, you shouldn't like code something as something that you're not. So if that's happening, that's shady. Angelica, biggest advice for nursing school, use a planner and really plan out your entire semester kind of in the beginning, which sounds very uncool, but I promise I procrastinated for a long time and take it one day at a time. Okay. Seriously, like just plan a reasonable amount of things that you can do in a day so that you can finish it and then have some fun and something to like let your brain relax and then just chunk away at it little by little. I promise you, I procrastinated. I'm not a good student. So I've tried this method out and I can tell you when I finally in the last semester of grad school got my act together because I literally had to because then I had a baby and like all the things. It turns out it works a lot better if you just like chunk away at it like a tiny bit. It works a lot better. If you guys do need some kind of a study resource for nursing school, I do recommend Lecturio. I will leave a link in the chat or in the Bio. It's like a study platform. It has a bunch of videos for you. It'll like plan your studying for you. I went to work for them because I thought it was a super cool platform and like everything I wanted. So if you do need study help, I think I have a discount code. I'll leave it in the description below. It's $99 for a year, and it'll like teach you all the things you need to know and plan out your studying for you and quiz you, and you can make tests. You can make tests and then take a practice test. Joshua Castilla said, I love Picmonic for nursing school. I used Picmonic when I was in nursing and P school because that's what existed. And that was great as well. So yeah, use a studying platform, find one, stick to it that you like, get a good planner, and realize that this is hard and it kind of sucks, but it'll end. And you can do hard things, friend. You can do hard things. You got this. You will be okay. It's going to seem like it's the end of the world, but it's going to be okay. You've done so many other hard things to get here. You can do this other hard thing too. Intel Raiku said, hi, Nurse Liz. How are you? Oh, mad. How are you? I've been watching you since your accelerated nursing program when I realized that we don't have those in Canada. Yes. That's awesome. I'm okay. I'm mad. I don't know. I'm waffling, if we're being honest. We can be honest. I don't know. I feel like I'm unsure what I'm doing with my life. This was probably way more than you wanted. You wanted me to just say like, oh, I'm fine. I don't know. I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm mad at healthcare. Parts of me kind of misses it. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I don't know, like, is this a right direction to go with on my YouTube channel? Is this even helpful? What am I existentially, like, what is my impact here? I've been having a lot of big feelings. So I feel like I'm waffling. I'm in a weird spot, if we're being totally frank. How are you? How are all of you? I'm kind of a mess. In case you weren't getting that vibe. And it's okay that we're all messes. This is a really weird. We've been thrown a lot of curveball, friends. So I am trying to give myself a little bit of like, hey, it's okay. You're a mess. We're all a little bit of a mess. It's gonna be fine. It's all gonna be fine. Deep breaths. We can do this. We can do hard things. Okay. So that's how I am. How are you? How are you, friends? How are you? Let's go up. Let's go up. Entai Raiku said, yeah, what are your opinions of CNAs? Currently a CNA and I want to further my education, but my undergrad GPA is not the best. If you need to retake classes, my friend, you might have to retake classes, which kind of sucks. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Take them to community college. They'll be cheaper. I think CNAs are the best thing ever. We barely had any, but I learned so much from my CNAs. Another huge tip for nursing school is learn from everyone. There are so many smart people out there. You can learn so much from literally everyone in that healthcare system. CNAs honestly taught me so much. They taught me how to take care of people, how to actually take care of the people. You know what I mean? And they were also the ones when I was a new nurse who were like, you need to go back into that room, Liz, and you need to look at them. And I'm like, oh no, I was just in there. They're like, Liz, you need to go back in that room. So like, they're your advocate. They've been there. They're with the patients a lot. Listen to your CNAs. Okay. CNAs are the most underpaid angels on this planet. Okay. That's how I feel about CNAs. So yeah. Redo classes if you need to. Being a CNA will look really good on your resume, but some schools, depending on where you live, if they're super competitive, you may just have to retake the classes, which totally sucks. I have been there. I have had to retake classes, my friend, because like I said, not the best student, but gets the job done. Angelica said, I am currently self-employed, but have an opportunity to get my phlebotomy job back. Quit 2 years ago. Do you think I should go back to get more recent healthcare experience for my resume? If you want to, or you can, you could totally leverage, apply with this cycle and say, hey, leverage I was a phlebotomist, so I have a lot of healthcare experience. And now I am self-employed. So I'm obviously really driven and motivated and resourceful. Like, I wouldn't say you have to, because you're going to be able to round out your resume in a ton of great ways. When you go to apply for nursing school, go onto their nursing school website and find their mission statement. This is probably going to be in the student handbook, and it's going to say the nursing school mission statement, or we are, and it's going to tell you like what they love. Literally mold. I have a whole video second opinion, will you link my video on how to write an admission letter? Because it's kind of like reverse engineering, like dating, right? Where you want to be the ultimate candidate and all you have to do, not all, but you know what I mean? When you're writing your admission letter, you want to make yourself share the experiences that you have had that are going to tick every single box of what they're looking for in a nursing student. And you get that information from looking at the mission statement of the college. Okay. So go do that. I don't think you probably have to go back. If you don't get in when you apply, email the school's admissions office and say, hey, I was wondering if there's anything I could do to make myself a more competitive applicant in the next cycle. And if they say, hey, we want you to have more experience right now, okay, then go have more experience right now. Procrastination is my shadow, but you're right. Take each day one at a time. Yes, you can only do what you can do in a day. Don't look at the whole semester. That is overwhelming AF. Okay. You just need to look at one day at a time. And remember, you can do hard things. Tara Preef, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. I hope you enjoy the many rambles that will be coming your way. I'm working on figuring out stuff for members. There are a few rambles, but if you're a channel member and you want to see anything in particular, let me know because I'm down for whatever. In my waffling state, it's hard for me to make choices. So sometimes I just need people to make choices and be like, we want this. And I'll be like, I give you that. That's perfect. Fitness Babe says, what's your take on travel CNAs? Making more money per hour than nurses in the facility. $60 was the highest. Dang, good for them. Good for them. Yeah. I never was a CNA. Because that's really hard work, like really hard work. So do it. Melissa Boyd said, I'm a mess too. I'm praying for you. Well, thank you. I hope you feel better as well. We're all in this together. We are not alone, friends. We're doing hard things and you are not alone. Okay. We're all feeling like this. Melody Nolan said, Liz, you make a difference. Why, thank you. Grateful to be able to bring a positive experience to light, incorporate my mental health condition into treatment with many specialties. That is next Tuesday at 7 p.m., friends. Where we are talking about more like trauma-centered care and just what you can, as a patient, hope to see in any healthcare provider and kind of give you an idea that like, if your healthcare provider is being a turd, that's not okay. Tara Preeve said it's so in the South, maybe not everywhere, but at our school, 75% of us worked as CNAs during our RN school. Best experience ever. Yes, you do learn so much about healthcare by being a CNA. Yes, yes, yes. And that is, when I lived in North Carolina, the nursing students had to be CNAs. Like you had to do that in order to get into nursing school. And it's interesting. Like I liked that. I think I was never a CNA because I was an accelerated program and I needed to work full time. And so I was a waitress because that just worked better. But you learned so much about healthcare as a CNA. It's going to make your experience a little bit easier. I do believe I have a video on that as well. If you want to Google Nurse Liz CNA, I expand on that a little bit more, but basically you can't go wrong by being one. Angelica said, thanks. I'm actually accepted into school. Oh, well, ignore my ramble then. This is like when you go into a room and you're explaining how to like do a really simple task. And then you find out like, you're like, oh, this is like an NG tube. It's going to go in your baby's nose and all the way down their throat into their little tummy. It's going to feed them. And you teach them all about the NG tube. And then their dad's like, yeah, I'm a neonatologist. And you're like, super, super. Love this. So congratulations on getting accepted into nursing school. Very exciting. I'm wondering if it'll help with getting a nursing job once I'm done. Nah, to be honest. I think you can twist it just about anyway. I did not have any problem getting a nursing job. You're going to get a nursing job. Okay. The nursing market is wide open. Wide open. Wide. So I wouldn't worry about that. You're going to be able to leverage. You've worked in healthcare. You've proven that. Later, if you want to get a job as a CNA or like a nursing assistant or tech or something, sure, super, go do that. But I wouldn't worry about it now. If you're doing your own thing and you like it, whatever it makes your life easiest for in terms of a job, go do that. Hi, I'm Susie. Thank you so much for the super sticker. That is incredibly kind, and I appreciate you. We'll put it towards my campaign fund for when I try to rule the world. Tara Preeve said, ramble all you want. I love it. Love you being a nurse entrepreneur as a new nurse. I support your YouTube brand bull mission because I love the honesty. Thank you. Sorry, everyone else who thinks it's depressing. Okay, friends, I am going to go to bed. So thank you so much for being here. If I didn't get to your question, I'm so sorry. Thursday, if we have time at the end, we'll do another little Q&A at the end here if we like these. I appreciate all of you so, so much for being here. And this was a really fun chat tonight. So thank you. I very much, very, very much appreciate you guys engaging. It's so much fun when we actually have, like, when we have all these conversations in the chat. Um, versus when it's like me talking and I'm like, please, someone talk to me. So I very much appreciate this. This is what I really like doing. I think we can change the world just by spreading awareness and talking about things and all of those. So I hope you always remember, my wonderful people, that life is crazy. We're all doing a great job. You are not alone. You are more than enough to tackle all of this. And you, my friends, can do hard things. I hope you always remember that. And until next time, have beautiful dreams and sleeps and all of those things. Have a good night, friends. Bye. Really should probably come up with something else to say at that point because that's a really bad outro. If you have any ideas of what we should say in our outro, shoot them at me in the chat. Because beautiful dreams is probably, we can do better. We can do better. Bye. This is ASMR now.